Hi there, welcome to Scrap and Coffee. In today's video I'm going to start on this new project, but I wanted to let you know that I was highly inspired by somebody else's album. It was a Spanish lady, I believe her channel, I'm going to butcher this up, but her channel is called El Desavan del Scrap, and she made an album that looks very similar to this album. I was really inspired by it and I wanted to do something just like it. And so I'm going to put a link down below in the description box towards the video where she made the album that I've been inspired by. Of course I did some alterations, so it's my own little twist on it, but yeah, I just wanted to give her the credits for that. So in today's video I am going to make the cover. So that's what you will be seeing me doing today in the video. So I hope you enjoy it and I want to thank you for watching. So I'm going to start with making the cover and wrap the chipboard with cardstock. So I've cut the chipboard to size and the cardstock in a way that I have a 1-inch border all around. So for this cover I'm using the easy wrap method, and to be quite honest, I'm not a really big fan of the method, so I hardly ever use it, but for this album I thought it would work perfectly. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a bad method, it's just for my personal liking that I don't use it very often. So I'm going to stick the chipboard on the cardstock so that I have a nice border all around for the spine and for the back side cover. Then I've placed some double-sided tape on the cardstock and on the chipboard, and I'm going to miter the corners of the cardstock. So for this project there is a cutting guide available on my website scrapandcoffee.com. It's a free PDF download, so if you want to make the project you can find the cutting guide right there. So when you get to the short sides, don't forget to tuck in the corners where your cardstock is overlapping, so you get a nice straight corner there. So that's the first piece, and now on to the spine. For the spine I've placed some double-sided tape on the short side only, and I'm trying to pre-burnish the fold a little bit, not burnish but score it a little bit, and then I'm just going to fold over the cardstock on the short side of the chipboard. And it was a little bit hard for me to work because it was such a small piece. So you do that on both sides. And then on one longer side I'm going to taper the flap a little bit. And then on the back side I am going to burnish the cardstock up against the chipboard edge. And once we've done that, we can attach it onto the backside cover. There was one corner that I wasn't completely happy with, so I wanted to place that up against the spine. So this is how I'm going to attach it, and I'm using some double-sided tape on the edge and I'm combining it with some wet glue. I'm just pushing that up against each other, try to line up top and bottom and give that a good burnish. And now we can work with the acetate that's going to be our front cover. So I'm giving that flap there a really good burnish, and then I've got a piece of acetate to size, and I'm going to attach that to that other flap next to the spine. So I'm really using the grid on my work surface here to make sure that I'm straight and everything is nicely lined up. And for attaching it, again I'm combining some double-sided tape with wet glue, and I'm placing the double-sided tape along the cut edge of the cardstock and one strip along the cut edge of the acetate. And that's actually because I'm scared to use the wet glue on my acetate. I'm afraid it's going to smudge everywhere, so trying to keep a clean surface as much as I can. So I'm just applying a strip of, I think this was 1/4 inch tape that I've used for that. So I'm placing the cover on my work surface, lined up with the grid on my work surface, so I can make sure that it's straight, because it's hard to determine for me. A little bit of wet glue to have a good coverage. Giving myself some space there. So I had the bottom of my cover lined up with one of the lines on my grid. So that was my guideline. And then I'm just trying to line it up from top to bottom. And without giving any pressure at this moment, I'm just checking if I'm following that line on the bottom of my cover with the acetate. And when it's in place, I carefully burnish, not too hard, because I don't want the wet glue to ooze out everywhere. And I'm using 0.007 acetate for this. It works, but if you have the 0.020 acetate, that would be even better. It's sturdier, so that would make a better cover actually. And I'm also going to decorate the cover to make it more sturdy for that reason. Then I've got a piece of white cardstock so that I have a little border on 3 sides, and I'm going to line up the edge on the acetate side. And I've placed some double-sided tape along the perimeter, and I'm going to place this in sections, as you can see me do. In a second I'm going to remove the tape backing partly. I'm just removing it bit by bit. And I'm going to start placing some wet glue on the first section. Again, I'm staying away from the cut edge here to make sure that it's not going to ooze out onto my acetate there. So I'm lining up those 2 edges to clean it up there. And then carefully drop it, and now I'm going to burnish the section before I stick it down further onto the cover. So I'm going to burnish it a little bit into the crease so that it can fold nicely and have a good closing cover. And once I've done that, I can remove a little bit more of the tape backing and add some more glue on the next section. So my cover is going everywhere at this moment, but that's just because I wanted to do this in a way where I can work in the way that I want it to work. So I'm just turning it around, and I'm also trying out which bone folder does the best job for me. And now I'm going to find that crease, get the cardstock in there, fold it over, and all this so you don't stress your cardstock too much, and yeah, you don't want it to rip or crack. So, and then the last section, I'm going from the crease outwards so that I can fold out all the air that's underneath there. So one last good burnish, make sure that I can fold the cover closed nicely. And then our base for the cover is done. And then we need to decorate it a little bit, make it pretty. So I've chosen a pattern paper, a pretty solid one, and I've cut a strip from that, and I've cut a strip of the white cardstock. And I'm going to use the white cardstock to clean up the edge on the front of the cover, and then the pattern paper to make it look good. So again, I'm combining the double-sided tape with the glue so that I don't have to place the glue too close to my acetate. And this white is just to give it a nice clean look, just add a little finishing touch there. And then I'm going to place the pattern paper in where I have a little small white border. And I've given it a really small white border on top and bottom, not even 1/16 of an inch. And then I've also cut a piece for the spine of that same pattern paper, and I'm just gluing that down with some wet glue. And I haven't decided yet on what I'm going to do on the back cover. I'm going to wait until I'm done with the project and see what I have left. I don't have a lot of paper to work with, so do the important parts first. So that's done, and now I'm going to make some decorations to go on the acetate cover to make it a little bit more sturdy. So I've put some pieces together, and I'm going to work with that for the cover. If you're using the more sturdy acetate, the 0.020, then you don't necessarily have to decorate the acetate. You could also choose to decorate the first page. That's up to you. So for this I've used photo mat, a 3x4 cut apart, some chipboard elements and some bits and pieces out of the collection. I just took some things together and made a little collage of it. Just make sure you don't place any glue on the overhang of this photo mat, because you will see that on the back side of the cover, of course. So now we are going to place this on top of the cover, and you can determine for yourself where you like it, of course. If you have a lot of static or some dirt on your acetate, you can use a dry microfiber cloth to clean that up a little bit. I've also made this to go on the top of the page. There's also some pattern paper on the back of that piece on the top of the page. So again, I'm just going to use the grid on my work surface to get it straight on there, and using some double-sided tape to stick it down. So I'm just eyeballing where I want to have it. I'm placing it a little bit off center, more to the bottom and closer to the spine. So of course you're going to see all of this on the inside cover, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I don't really mind that you see things through it, but like I wanted to clean up the eyelet there, and I'm going to place another photo mat on the inside cover just to make it a little bit better. So I'm going to place another circle on top of the other circle, but in order to give me something to stick it down to, I've got two circles, and I'm going to make a 3/16 hole in there so that I can place that around the eyelet, and then I can stick my circle on top of that white so that I have a good surface where I can stick something to it and you don't see it through that circle on the end. And later on I will see if I'm going to use another embellishment on there, but for now I'm just leaving it like this. So then I've got another photo mat, and I've got a little bit of a smaller photo mat out of the pattern paper that I cut in half. And now I'm looking for some embellishments that I can place on there. And I'm going with two of the hearts out of the bits and pieces package. So I'm going to glue this on three sides to make a little insertion point. So you can put something small in there, but it's more decorative than really useful. So this I'm going to also use my double-sided tape to stick that down onto the acetate. And I'm just going to line it up with the other photo mat. So you hide your tape and everything that you don't want to see. So what I did with the hearts is I backed them with some white cardstock because I think it gives them a little bit more of they stand out a little bit more. And now I'm gluing them down, so make sure you only put glue on the where the pocket is. Don't glue your pocket closed. And I've made some tags with my die cut machine to go in there. So you could journal on them, but it's more decorative than really useful, like I said. And I'm using a little bit of jute string to make it a little bit more interesting. And then my cover is done. So for the next video I'm going to make the pages that go in the album, and I hope that I will see you in that video, of course. So this is all done. I'm going to clean it up a little bit more with my microfiber cloth because you have some static and some fingerprints on there. And then we are ready to work on the inside. So I hope to see you in that video. Bye bye!